Hi, Karen Sullivan here. You know what? Just when you think that you've gotten everything covered regarding your fitness, bammo, somebody brings up something different. I'm here today not to rock your world, but I'm here to try and find a little bit of balance and help you to understand about the whole fitness scene. Karen Sullivan. I am author of The Zen of Weight Loss along with Jerry Levesque. And we always call this ZWL, ZWL, ZWL. And it's not always about weight loss. It really isn't. Oftentimes, the things that I discuss with people is about how to live better. So I call it the Zesty Wonderful Life. And that's exactly what I want for myself and for you. So there are shocking facts that we forget. And many of us don't even know it, okay? I've learned some of these things as far as nutritionally, what has to happen and what has to be in place in your body, but I couldn't reiterate them to you. I mean, I understand that it's very complex, little mind-blowing to understand the things that have to happen in the body and the nutrients in the body. We talk about hormones. Well, I hear people talking about progesterone and testosterone and a couple other things that have to do with the thyroid. You have the thyroid going, and anyway, there are lots more. I mean, hundreds more maybe. I might be over exaggerating, but there are a lot more hormones, and the hormones need to have the proper nutrients too. And they call them macronutrients when people who are into the bodybuilding scene or are professional athletes and need to have the proper nutrition, they understand about the balance. But we don't. As lay people, we just really don't. We want to know, let's talk about carbohydrates, let's talk about protein, let's talk about making sure the fats are there. Well, that's all well and good. I wanted to talk today about there are like 5 areas that are important to know in your health-related fitness, okay? So one would be your cardiovascular endurance, okay? Heart and lungs, being able, the capacity to be able to move for a while at an accelerated speed, even if it's just walking or if you're climbing, and the demand on your heart and your lungs that you can keep up with it and not get short of breath, not get blue lips. I always say to my clients and the people in my classes, okay, if you can talk to me in complete sentences, then you're doing great, okay? So that's something that you need to consider. The muscle strength is important. Strength is very important, but also muscle endurance. That's the third thing. Muscle endurance is super duper important, okay? Then another thing that we forget, this is a shocking thing that we forget, is to be able to be flexible. You have to be able to be flexible. I mean, people who can't turn their heads, people who can't turn their bodies. Today in class we were doing, in Pilates it's called crisscross. Some of you might know it as the old-fashioned bicycle, okay? Where you're lying on the floor and you bring an elbow to the opposite knee, right? I see a thumbs up there. I love it. Whoever you are, tell me you're in. Check in with a comment so that I can see you. But the thing of it is that sometimes those people can't do it, and some of it could be strength, but sometimes it's flexibility that won't allow you to do that twist. And then the fifth component that we have to think about with health-related fitness is body composition. And so that's that fat. Oh, there, Cheryl's here with me today. Hi. It's fat versus muscle, okay? So you want to have a good alignment of body composition. We all need to have fat, but most of us have too much, right? Too much. So without nutrition, none of this is going to work. None of this is going to be in place. And that's what I want to talk about today, is the importance of nutrition. Many of you may or may not take vitamins. For those of you that do take vitamins, you want to say, oh, yes, I do, in the comment section. Now, listen, don't forget, I want you to comment also when you watch this in replay. It's super important because the comments that I get, I'd like to answer them. And then I'm also going to respond back with everybody gets a treat, quote unquote. If you talk to me in comments, I will contact you in private and we will have a discussion, okay? So, and it's going to be good. It's all good. We're talking about a free coaching session. See, Cheryl says, oh, yes, she does. Absolutely. So, here we go. You talk about taking vitamins, and do you remember why you started taking them? Like how you felt before you started taking them? Do you feel differently now that you have been taking them for a while? Hey, Laura's here today. Hi, Laura. So, I mean, do you feel different, from taking those supplements now? Okay, or the ones you have been taking. Now, if not, are you allowed to return those empty bottles and get your money back? Pretty expensive adventure to go on to try and get these supplements to feel better and not be able to get your money back if they don't work, right? Aha. 1972, Cheryl says she started the Shaklee protein in 1972 and she remembers why it saved her. That had to do with your blood sugar and everything, wasn't it? Hypoglycemia? Cheryl, is that what it was? She's going to comment back to me. Well, while Cheryl is answering me, I wanted to tell you guys about, I had a client, her name was Betty, and that's not her real name. I'm just making up a name. Okay. And Betty came to me and was talking about how exhausted she was. She was totally exhausted. Cheryl said, yes, it was hypoglycemia. It had to do with her blood sugar. But Betty had just complete exhaustion. Now, this was back in the day when I didn't have children. She didn't have children. I think we were both single at the time, but she was just wiped out. And she went to her doctor, and he said perhaps she wasn't sleeping right, and he suggested something to help her sleep, a pill. And she said, no, I'm not doing pills. Then he suggested something to help with energy. Maybe she needed something else for energy, but he never suggested a vitamin. And do you know why that is? Well, when doctors learn about how to take care of people, nutrition, I think at least several years ago when I spoke with someone who teaches at a medical school, that they go like an hour period and learn nutrition. And that's it. And so they are not really licensed to talk about nutrition unless they have in some way gotten additional degrees. I don't know, but doctors don't know that. However, they will occasionally say, so are you taking a supplement? Are you taking any vitamins? Do you take a multiple vitamin? I was just in my doctor's office and he asked me if I took a multiple vitamin, if I was taking a B complex, and if I was taking vitamin D. And I said yes, and I started to say, I'm taking so many milligrams of B complex. He was like, well, no, there was no place to put it on the computer. He didn't know, it was irrelevant to him. Also, when I told him that I was taking D3, which is more bioavailable, and for lots and lots of reasons, it helps, it's better. It helps the bioavailability to go into for the calcium to get into the bones. So anyway, that meant nothing to him when I said that. This is not a stab at my doctor. I love him, but that's not what they learn, okay? So it's something where we have to be proactive as people and grab the bull by the horns and say, okay, this is what we're going to do for our own health. Supplementation, nutrients are very, very important. And I have an article here I wanted to talk. It says, what do you do to cure long-term and help you have long-term energy, so that if you can't improve it, other ways, I've got some tips for you here. So the first is exercise, to be able to move, have your body moving, okay? And I'm reading out of this article, it reduces the tiredness. Exercises will really actually give you energy, which I knew that. So then you have to make sure you're sleeping well. That's what that doctor had said to her. Do you need a sleeping pill? Sleeping well, it's not a pill. You don't need a pill. But what you can do is make sure that you set up a routine. The same way you have a routine to go to the gym, make sure you have a routine to go to bed. Go to bed at the same time every day, every night, if at all possible. Okay. Make sure that you have, perhaps read a book before bed rather than watch a television show, because that barrage of commercials and everything will just distract you, get you wired a little bit. So you want to kind of chill out into your sleep time. Okay. Sometimes have maybe a cup of chamomile tea before bed while you're reading your book. Okay. So those are ideas to do. Always remembering too that you want to make sure that you're calm before you get into bed. You don't go to bed too calm down. You try to do whatever you can. Stretches are a good idea to do before you go to bed. And also, if sound bothers you, if you're easily awakened, try getting some earplugs. They've got those little orange foamy ones, and they're sufficient to keep sound from your house if your kids are older and they come in later after you've gone to bed. That's a really good idea, to do that. Now, also, let's go on. I got a good thumbs up there. Eating better. Okay, so by that, I mean, try not to have caffeine specifically or sugar, which can jack you up before you go to bed. Okay, you have to be aware, conscious. I've noticed that I can have caffeine in the morning, but I can't even have caffeine like at lunchtime, because then I'm up all night. So those are things that you need to monitor for yourself and see what your body can and cannot handle. And I threw my paper on the floor. Hold on. I'm leaving for a second. There I'm back. Okay. So supplement wisely. Well-balanced multivitamin product that will help you to have all the nutrients that you need. Okay, they are easy. I'm glad you're enjoying that, Cheryl. Supplement wisely, right? And so make sure that you include omega-3s, okay, and a broad array of antioxidants for better health, okay? Magnesium is a deficiency, and it's really common in people, and it's something that you can really, supplement. But I'll come back to that in a second, all righty? The B vitamins, and they work better, by the way. B vitamins work better. I know people take B12 shots and they get these just one B vitamin at a time, and I know that doctors are doing that, and it just sort of just is kind of like nails on a chalkboard for me, because from my years of research and understanding is that the B vitamins work better, and all vitamins work better when they're synergistically with other vitamins. Why do you think they started putting D into calcium? It's because it makes it more bioavailable so that the calcium can get and be used in the body, okay? The same thing with the B vitamins, that when they're all together in the body and working, then it is something that gets into the system, into your blood, and then it will benefit you, okay? The other thing is iron. Now, not everybody can take iron, and I don't recommend you just go to the store and buy iron. I certainly don't. The Shaklee doesn't have iron that they sell separately either at all. It's when it's in a multiple vitamin. We have it. And I think that's the only form that it is too. So let's go back to my friend Betty, okay? Exhausted Betty, taking supplements. She said it wasn't working. She had been on them for months and she was still exhausted. She tried all these things that I'm telling you right now. She was making sure she was going to bed and settling down and just feeling great. Okay, but still not sleeping the next day, too tired to function. So I said to her, would you be willing to try for a couple of months and see how you feel with the multiple vitamin that I have available? And it's called Vitalia. And she said, all right, at this point, I'd be glad to do it. So she started to take it. And now I have to say, these results are not common. And I don't know why, but her body was screaming. Oh, Iron Plus C. Ask me. Iron product. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Cheryl has awesome stories about the Iron Plus C. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry. I totally forgot about the Iron Plus C. Okay. So that there is iron available with the C. And it probably works better with the vitamin C, doesn't it, Cheryl? Okay, I stand corrected. Okay, so let me tell you about Betty. So she started on the Vitalia, and a week after she started, she told me that she felt fantastic. She couldn't believe it. She was no longer exhausted, dragging her heels, or I should say her knuckles on the floor. She felt fantastic. And it was after a week. Now, I think her response is unheard of. Now, she just continued to take the product, so she was doing great with it. But, most people don't have the supplements or the vitamins in their body that they need to. So there's this depletion of depravity, I like to say, of supplements in the body. There is Scripps Institute in San Diego, which does, it's Scripps Center for Integrative Medicine. Sorry, it's a word that causes me a problem. In the 70s, or since the 70s, this doctor from Scripps is saying, our calories have gone up 450 calories, and our sugar consumption has skyrocketed. Meanwhile, our fruit and vegetable intake is poor. As an example, the CDC says that about a third of the Californians report consuming fruits and vegetables less than one time a day. One time a day. Goodness. And Californians are usually the ones, they're at the top of the list. And, California is like all health conscious and everything, but still it's a far cry from that we should be getting the 5 to 9 vegetables or fruits a day. So we're already having, less than we should have in our diets. Then you decide to go on a diet because you want to lose weight, and you cut back even more food. And while it's good to probably cut back the sugar, certainly, and the carbohydrates and the grains and those things that might stack on more weight, I think that nutritionally we get less than we should already, okay? So when you're dieting, it's really super dangerous, and you don't want to eat less healthy foods than you should, but you want to eat less of the food that would make you fat, right? Does that make sense? Those of you who have read my book, I talk about journaling. How many people out there have read it? Can you make a comment in the comment section? Have you read it? What's the biggest thing that I talk about doing to make sure that you're eating correctly? What's the one way that you can do that? Is it journaling, writing in a journal, writing down what your food is, seeing how you feel after you've eaten certain kinds of food? Well, that's the way to do it. And then you're going to chart and figure and follow and pay attention. It's called being mindful. And then you can eat the right food. However, if you're busy, as most of us are, and even if you're not busy, the amount of food that you would have to eat to get what you need nutritionally in your body is just massive amounts of food. And that the best way is to supplement. So that said, I think we need to remember that not all supplements are created equal, okay? Which is why I have a report here that was done, in 1990, when the FDA decided that labels had to be put on containers on food and everything, and they were regulating that, and the FDA decided that there is a 20% margin for error, okay? 20% margin for error. So if you're tracking something, let's talk about first the really important things. You have a heart patient, and they have to watch sodium. And something that they look at, a can, or, or any kind of food stuff that says sodium that's in it, and it says 100 milligrams, because the math is easier if I do 100 milligrams. And it's a 20% variance. So it could be 120 milligrams per serving of sodium, which for a heart patient is way, way out of line. So the same thing happens with a 100-calorie pack of food. And you get these, that's the big thing these days, are these cookies and chips. 100 calorie. It could be as much as 120 calories. I don't suggest counting calories, but what I'm telling you is you cannot really rely on the labels as being absolute. There is a variation, and any kind of variation in my book is not a good thing. But you know what you get when you have an orange or a pomegranate or a zucchini. Okay, so that's why I really try to steer people toward just food. Just eat food, right? Now, I think that when we talk about supplements and the supplementation and the research and development and the process by which things are made, that too has a big variance. And I'm not going to get into any other companies, but I will tell you about my company. And Shaklee Corporation made the first multiple vitamin in the United States 100 years ago. Dr. Shaklee made it. He called it Vitalized Minerals. And then from that point on, the company continued. 56 years we've been around. Wait a minute, that's not right. It's 61 years. Sorry. Started in 1956. Oh, great. You know me and numbers, I'm great. Anyway, so started in 1956, the company did, but Dr. Shaklee was doing his research and his work for years and years before. And so they have here safe. They're always safe. Nothing is ever used without, I know it's that math thing. So it is safe. They prove that they have worked, that what's inside it will work. And Shaklee doesn't say, you take this for this. Who says that is all the other researchers are out there that are finding, and the doctors that are saying, you know, because there are doctors that do research about this stuff. And they'll say, well, like me with my eyes, research shows that zinc is good for eyes. So that's why I started taking zinc. I started taking the Shaklee zinc because I know that what they put it to make that zinc, they make sure that the potency and the purity is good, that there's no chemicals in it, that there's nothing in it that could hurt me in that zinc. Okay. Oh, listen to me. I'm having a bad thing, with my words, in the, raw materials that they're using to make the zinc. Okay. Same thing goes for every single product. Alrighty. Shaklee performs over 100,000 quality tests a year. And also remember, guaranteed, 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 guaranteed. Had Betty not felt better with the Vitalia product that she was using, she could have taken the whole bottle and returned it. I've never had anybody return something because it always works. It always works. And I think that everybody needs to recognize that the safety standards are 3 times more than what the standards are for supplement companies, you know, across the board in the United States. That's huge, you guys. That's really huge. Safety standards that are really great. The company is in harmony with nature. They were the very first certified climate neutral company in the United States, so that there is no impact on the environment. There's no footprint, as that term goes. There's no footprint. Okay, from the company in their manufacturing or in the plant, in the company that has the offices and everything, totally climate neutral. That's huge. They also planted 1 million trees around the world. They worked with Wangari Maathai, who was a really neat lady. I met her when she was in the States and she spoke at a conference. Neat lady. The landmark study, there are two. There's a landmark study one that was several years ago, and they found that there are 4 biomarkers that people who took Shaklee supplements, their numbers were better. They were, let's see, I have to hold this up to read it, okay? Let's see. We are saying in lower cholesterol by 11%, the people who were Shaklee people. 33% lower levels of triglycerides, 36% lower homocysteine, which has to do with the brain and cognitive health, and 59% lower levels of reactive protein, which is a biomarker for long-term biological stress. Okay? Big time. But the neat thing, too, is that they are presently... They are presently doing a second landmark study with the Nobel laureate, Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn. And she is the lady who did the study about telomeres. Okay? Telomeres, do you know what those are? They're the caps on the ends of the DNA. If you look at a shoelace, see how the shoelace has that little cap at the end? Well, telomeres are on the ends of our DNA, and it has to do with aging or anti-aging, because Dr. Blackburn's study, which is way over my head, but her study had to do with preserving those telomeres so that it doesn't come off, so the DNA isn't destroyed, so that cell reproduction is at the pristine, beautiful level that it should be always, always, always. And she is working in conjunction with Shaklee, and because she sees the value of the products that we have. That's ginormous, guys, because this lady, she is top rate, Nobel laureate. Can't get any better than that. The whole science team at Shaklee is magnificent. And again, I have to reiterate, you start with one product, and then you try another, and then you try another, and the next thing you know, not only do you feel better, but you look better, you're more active, and your doctor will look at you and go, so what are you doing, right? All right. The performance standards are stellar. We have tons of people, listen to me. I'm talking like we have missed 50 million. Let's see. NASA Commander Mark Kelly took Shaklee Vitalizer on the Space Shuttle Endeavour in 2011. Athletes that are using... golly, I can't remember the number. Cheryl, can you tell me the number right now that of gold, silver, and bronze medalists in the Olympics that were powered by Shaklee? And that's the other thing. If you're interested in performance for any sport that you're doing, even if it's an amateur level, you guys have got to look at the 137 medals. Cheryl's just commented. Cheryl's my business partner, guys. And so she's keeping me in track. 137 medals so far, okay? And those athletes are doing really well. The neat thing about it is you will not find anything in those products that are going to make them test and get kicked out and lose their medal. True thing. When I used to work with Williamsburg Aquatic Club in Virginia, the coach there was so untrusting of the supplemental companies out in the world, that he just had a hard and fast rule that nobody could take supplements. He didn't want them taking anything because they could, the testing, if the kids were tested and they were in nationals, and these kids could potentially go on to be in the Olympics. As a matter of fact, Katie Hoff came through our program, and Katie swam with my children, and then went on to do Olympic training and everything. But, our coach treated it just as important as if they were going to the Olympics and going to have to do a test and make sure that they didn't test. So his fear of that, We weren't able to get into introducing it to the kids, which is unfortunate because I think they probably would have done so well. They were doing great with my strength training and conditioning work. Again, Shaklee products are what percent guarantee? What percent? 10%? You get 10%? You get 90%? No, you get 100%. 100% of your money back. 100% of your money. So I'd like you to make a comment in the statement below, in the little comments, and type in, okay, I'm convinced. I'd love to see and try something. Okay? I think that you too can have a zesty, wonderful life and feel better if you take this component that we just forget, which is nutrition. And we leave that out all the time in our fitness plan. You can lift weights, you can run like crazy, but if you don't have all of those macronutrients in your body, especially when you're trying to lose weight, it's just not going to connect. You may lose weight, you won't be at your optimum health. So for today, I'd like to say thanks a lot, guys, for taking the time to come and see me. I know there is someone else there, and I can't see your name. It's not on the screen. I'm sorry. So I haven't been able to comment to you directly, but I thank you for coming. And take care. Have a blessed day, and be well.